Thank you, thank you, thank you for being who you are and for being what we represent as a spiritual community. So I welcome everyone to the science of mind, which is the science of thinking, which is how you use your mind. Science of mind is a correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelation of religion applied to human need and the aspirations of humankind. It is also defined as a correlation of the laws of science. So what we believe allows us to change our lives consciously, using a principle, a spiritual principle, consciously, that allows us to experience the life that we desire. Holmes says spirituality is natural goodness. Think about that. Spirituality is natural goodness. God is not a person. God is a presence personified in us. Spirituality is not a thing. It is the atmosphere of God's presence, goodness, truth, and beauty. End of quote. Think about that. It is the naturalness of humanity, natural goodness of how we are in the world that causes us to, or rather is defined as spiritual practice, natural goodness. How much of that is needed in the world today, do you think? Don't have to answer the question. So I want to say Jesus, the most godlike person and the greatest spiritual teacher who ever lived and walked on planet Earth, said this, quote, "All things are possible to those who believe." Now, if you take that quote alone, you'll see that that is science of mind. All things are possible to those who believe. Deepak Chopra, who is one of the most prominent doctors around the country and around the world, he said, "We live in a field of possibility." If you think about that thought, we live in a field of possibility. Do you ever get up in the morning and say, all things are possible to me today? If you do that, it reminds you that you are alive and well, living in a field of possibility. The field of possibility is not limited, it is limitless. In other words, God puts no cap on your ability, power, and opportunity to do the best, to practice spirituality, natural goodness. And you could do that in 1,000 different ways, I'm sure. I haven't sat down to count them all, but I know it's a lot of ways that you can use your spiritual practice to be a beneficial presence in the world. You see, there's a universal consciousness that is omnipresent. That universal consciousness that is omnipresent is available to everyone. And it is individualized in everyone. Not everyone uses it in a productive, constructive way of beneficial presence. But it is individualized as you, whether or not you believe this, is not something that we try to press on you. It is something we want you to be aware of. And when you're aware of, you learn how to use it in the most beneficial way. Spirituality is natural goodness. God is not a person. God is a presence personified in us. Spirituality is not a thing. It is the atmosphere of God's presence. Think about that. The atmosphere of God's presence, God's goodness, God's truth. If we lived in the consciousness of the atmosphere of God's presence, how do you think life would be different on planet Earth today? Because you know, God is pure love, unconditional love. God is peace beyond human understanding. God is goodness beyond measure. God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. What if that really was practiced as a belief system, as a spiritual practice daily by everyone? Where do you think we could be today? How do you think we'd be with each other, with one another, from in planet Earth, regardless of race, color, religion, or whatever? The oneness principle will exist in the most marvelous and beneficial way among humanity. That's why I ask, why are you here? That's the topic today. So why are you here? There's a universal consciousness. Remember, that consciousness is individualized in you. We are not only surrounded by it, we are in it. And you know what? It is in us. See, that's the mystery of oneness. It is in us and it is around us at the same time, in the same measure. God never gives us little portions of itself. God gives us its total presence. You know, God is always where you are, conscious of it or not. Think about that. God is always where you are. So where you are, can you think that God is present right now? When you get in your car to go out today, can you say, God is in the car with me? God is present everywhere. Think about that incredible, incredible, universal truth, because God is that universal consciousness, that universal omnipresence that's individualized as us. There is a spontaneous sense of an irresistible union, said by Dr. Holmes. In fact, it is important to remember that there is no way to think outside of this creative universal essence of limitless possibility. There is no way that you can think outside of that, because that surrounds you. So you are always using this principle, conscious of it or not, but most people, when they're not conscious of it, are not using it to their most beneficial result. They're using it sometimes for their benefit, other times for their advantage. But you see, it is goodness and it cannot take advantage of anyone else. So a lot of times when we use it, thinking it's used to advantage, what happens is that the contrary result is returned to us, because this is not about one person owning it all and dishing it out piece by piecemeal to others. No, equality, oneness exists as a basic principle. It is the first principle of the science of mind. Science has shown that when we think, we create a chemical, and we load up all our organs with that chemical when we think of them. This is a quote from a great doctor, Deepak Chopra. He says, there are some 60,000 thoughts every day that create our experience. 60,000 thoughts. You're not even conscious that you make 1,000. You have 1,000 different thoughts. And when we use our minds in a thoughtful, planned, scientific way, we actually can be not only benefiting ourselves, but be a beneficial presence in the world. So we can help to make this world a better place by using our minds. First of all, the first step is to think into a consciousness of wholeness, well-being, prosperity, abundance. This is what changes our lives. we're talking about permanent change. This is not just happening like when we feel like making it happening. That works there too. But permanent change is reaching that total understanding, that total conclusion that I am an individuation of that one powerful, universal presence and goodness and love and peace. Conscious or unconsciously, we personalize and customize our mental atmosphere, which says, this is who I am in the world. Consciously or not, you actually customize, personalize your presence in the world by not only doing it subconsciously, but you end up saying, most people end up saying, well, this is who I am in the world. This is what's happened to me. This is the way I am. You got to accept me the way I am. And you had a lot of I ams in people using language to refer to themselves as being that presence in the world. Now, that's not the most beneficial way to use it. So think about how that has served you, or has not served you, or has served you in a way that you don't want. I'll say that again. Science has shown that when we think, we create a chemical and we load up all organs. All our organs are loaded up with that chemical when we think of them. This is a quote from someone who really knows. And we use 60,000 quotes per day, unconsciously, of course. Paul, the great disciple of Jesus, one of the most renowned disciples, you know what he said? Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye renewed in the spirit of your mind. Actually, that's the actual quote from the Bible. Be ye renewed in the spirit of your mind. Be ye transformed by renewing your mind. In so doing, we transform our life. Each of us, our world and our experience of it are transformed by the way we think about ourselves. So why are you here? If all you think about is, well, so am I in the world, and c'est la vie, why are you here? You're here for a bigger reason than just being a presence. You're here because the world needs you. I hope that struck a soft space right in the middle of your heart. The world needs you. In so doing, we transform our lives, our world, and our experience of it. All cognitive thoughts such as, listen to this, all cognitive thoughts such as greed, malice, envy, resentment, undue acquisitiveness or accusativeness become mental waste products, but are not left out of the personalized mental atmosphere. So in other words, when you have a negative thought about someone else or about a condition or certain issue, that thought become personalized in your life. That's how powerful your thinking is. That's why we have the science of mind, teaching people how to use their mind in a way that blesses their lives. All cognitive thoughts, such as greed, malice, envy, resentment, undue accusativeness, become mental waste products, but are not left out of the personalized mental atmosphere. Now, in the Science of Mind on page 294, we read this: every person is surrounded by a thought atmosphere. Through this, we are either attracting or repelling. Dr. Holmes goes on to say that this mental atmosphere is the direct result of the conscious and unconscious thought, which in turn becomes the direct reason for and cause that which comes into one's life. You're responsible. That's why you're here, to wake up to that responsibility, to be able to use the best of you any moment and every moment. There is nothing physical that prevents you from being and using the best possible thinking that you can, because they can lock up your body, but they can't lock up your mind. Do you remember that old saying? I see Moni dancing about that thought. That's true. You cannot, they cannot chain your mind down. They can chain your body. But you see, your body can overcome anything if you use that mind, your mind, which is beyond capture according to human thought. You can free yourself and free your mind. The mental atmosphere is the direct result of one's conscious and unconscious thought, which in turn becomes the direct reason for the cause, that which comes into one's life. That, I think, is the first hint of how we can directly and deliberately use this magnetic power. That's all. Hey, wake up. So, and if you embody the atmosphere of your desire, the law works from the belief to the thing. This is what is found in page 271. If you embody the atmosphere of your desire. So what does that mean? What's the atmosphere of your desire? Do you know how to enter the atmosphere of your desire? Well, just in case, let me say this and pretend you know it already and just allow it to refresh. The atmosphere of your desire can be realized through the power of your imagination. When you have a desire, imagine what it would be to be in the middle of that desire right now, surrounded by your desire in every way, shape, or action. You're surrounded by the fulfillment of your desire. What is that atmosphere like? Mentally, physically, emotionally? When you could embody that way, you will understand the use of the power of your ability to choose your thoughts. The law works from the belief to the thing. In other words, when you believe something, you trigger the law that says, yes, 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 I can produce it for you, either instantly or as you're able to receive it. You know, Napoleon Hill said, fortunes gravitate to to those whose minds are prepared to accept them. Fortunes gravitate to people whose minds are able to receive them. Are you ready to receive your good? Answer the question within your own heart. Are you ready to receive your good? Your good is waiting at the doorstep of your door right now. And you know what your door is? Your door is an unconscious or conscious block that you have created that you can choose to remove through the power of your mind. Think about how you want your life to be. ponder upon it, get it into your heart, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. It is called the law of unfoldment on page 271. Now, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's found in the Bible too. As a man thinketh in his heart. You can think in your heart or you can think in your head. But as you think in your heart, that's where your belief system takes a hold of creation. So when you feel something in your heart, it's created almost instantly, automatically in your body and in your environment. Because the conscious, not the unconscious, master of your mind, you are that. Here's what it looks like. Here's the balance sheet, the selection and consequence balance sheet, I call it. And here's how it works. Make a choice, get a reward or a consequence. Decision, response. Action, reaction. Imagination, demonstration. Subjective, objective. Visualization, manifestation. That's my checklist. That's the balance sheet of selection and consequence. We are always successfully using our manifestation, our manifesting power for life enhancement or for disenhancement. Are you unhappy now? Use your mind to free yourself from unhappiness. We are always successfully using our manifesting power. Always. You're never a failure. In fact, Bobby Siegel years ago said, never consider yourself a failure. You can always serve as a bad example. Bobby Siegel. Never consider yourself a failure. You can always serve as a bad example. That is straight mental confrontation. You're faced with it right up front. This is the spiritual mechanism of the power of thought. Napoleon Hill said this, and I read it before. Fortunes gravitate to men whose minds are prepared to receive them. You have to be prepared to receive your fortune because it's right at the door. If you're not going to open the door. You're going to walk away from it. His book, Think and Grow Rich. That's his book, titled boldly, Think and Grow Rich. You see, when we are expressing our true talents, we lose track of time. It really is not a matter of time. It is the quality and use of time that counts. Because a lot of people say, well, I don't have time, or my time's passed for that, or I'm never going to be able to get to that time. And people set limitations on themselves that way. But it is not the use of time. It is the quality that you use the present time that you now have. If you want to experience the eternal, you must get into the flow of your universal oneness. You can experience that. You can experience joy that you know will never end, even when you die. In fact, I think when that moment comes, you are actually reborn into joy. So there's no other experience. When choosing a dream, look to your heart. You all want to know how to dream? When you're choosing a dream, look to your heart, not to your reality with a little r. That's why it's called a dream. Make that dream your goal. Commit to it, act upon it, with commitment. The methods to fulfill that dream will appear. That's Joseph Campbell. He said that. I'll quote it again. He says, make that dream your goal, commit to it, act upon it, keep that commitment. The methods to fulfill that dream will appear. In other words, the moment you make a commitment to something, it reveals itself to you. The solution is there because the answer is there before the question is asked. So your commitment unfolds all that seems to block the answer, and you get the answer. Infinite means interminable, unbounded, immeasurable, endlessness, formlessness, immeasurable greatness. All of that is wrapped up in that word, infinite. So why are you here? Why are you here if you're not to express your spiritual magnificence? You are a child of the universe. Deepen your understanding of that phrase, a child of the universe. Begin to activate your spiritual awareness now of your true essence now. What exactly does that mean? Begin to activate your spiritual awareness, your true essence right now. To activate means to turn the key in the start position. You know how to do that, right? That's if you've got a license and taught you how to drive. To activate, turn the key in the start position, and then let the motor run, the engine with the happy knowledge, knowing the tank is full and never will run out. That's a happy engine. The tank is full and never runs out. It's filled with an inexhaustible supply of your need for the trip. Can you stand that? You get into an imaginary vehicle that never runs out of the energy that it needs to move forward. And it fills with all the good that you can imagine for the trip that you're heading on. So why are you here really? To share your beingness, that's why you're here. Share your light, that's why you're here. Share your God-given talent in helping others to discover their own spiritual magnificence. That's why you're here. The specialness that blesses the world with your goodness, that's why you're here. You're not here for any other reason. You're not here to be admired or to admire. You're not here to love someone or to hate them. You're here to express your spiritual magnificence as an example of the God in you, waking the world up to the God in everyone. And you know what that does? Peace and joy, happiness and oneness. You are not here by accident. No. Regardless of what your parents tells you, you are not here by accident. You're here because you are needed to be here. You are here to answer the call. If you want to know what that means, you must step forward and say in your heart and mind, here I am, send me. Use me for your highest good. Speak to the God in you. Here I am, send me. Use me to your highest good. You're probably thinking, I've been on the lookout for the longest time trying to find out why I'm here. Well, I hope you found it this morning. I hope you find it before I wind up, which is coming up pretty soon. Thoughts that can help you to realize your calling something like, how will I know that I have a purpose? When you ask that question, how will I know that I have a purpose? Remember, I said earlier, the answer exists before the question is asked. You are not a random accident, even if your parents said so. Besides your fingerprint, your own gifts, your uniqueness, your way of being is sacredly yours to keep and to use. Remember that. Your gifts are yours sacredly for you to use and to keep. I came here to tell you so. That's why I came here. Before you fall asleep and read something I want to leave with you. Before you fall asleep tonight, I want you to read Desiderata. You can find it, Google it. Everybody knows how to Google. Google, read Desiderata tonight before you sleep. You are given 5 senses, 5 windows through which you can experience your world, your being here, to pay attention. Pay attention to what you are seeing, what you are hearing, what you are touching, what touches you, even what you are smelling and tasting. God gave you, your Creator gave you 5 windows through which you can experience being human now, not next week when you get it. Now, right now, you're experiencing something through some of those windows. Right now, it's through the hearing, and some of you, through your looking. And some of you, you're looking inwardly. Some of you are actually repeating the call that was made to you a few minutes ago, a few years ago. So when are you going to wake up? Why are we here? God is your source of insight, impression, and information. Learn to trust by research, practice, and observation. That's why you have a brain. That's why God made you different than a lot of other manifestations. You have a brain that allows you to research, to gather information, to put it together in a way that you can enhance what appears to be a new life. And folks, I leave with you my sincerest blessing and love to you and to everyone, hoping that you are better because you are here today. So I invite you to take time to muse, take time to reflect, take time to be silent, take time to be in awe, take time to contemplate, take time to meditate, take time to be alone, take time to be quiet, take time to hear the silence, and take time, for God's sake, take time to know yourself. And I love you to pieces. God bless. Namaste.